You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
And welcome to this edition of Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast. I am your host, Richard Franzi, and this is podcast episode number 1083. OSI Autos is a destination where females can feel comfortable buying, selling, and servicing their vehicles. Bushra Salman created the dealership from the ground up with a mission to inject her love for people, giving back, and growing a destination for diesel vehicles. She joins us to show off more of her work and passion and the ROW program, which is Relief on Wheels. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Bushra, welcome to Critical Mass Radio Show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. I'm excited that there's so many questions I have about your business model and your focus. But so tell me a little bit about sort of you and your background and where you are today. How did you get into doing this, Bushra?
Honestly, it was a complete random act of fate. I never in a million years thought I would own a dealership.
Okay.
It just happened kind of by chance, but I believe it was meant to be.
Okay.
I have more of a corporate background.
Really?
Yeah, and I was involved in a few startups in LA and things like that. So when I originally opened OSI Autos, we had a partner that lasted. I had a partner that lasted maybe a month.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
We just had, he was your typical car dealer, and I just had a different vision. And even at that time, I still wasn't really convinced that this was the thing for me because as much as I love business and as much as I love, making money, I guess you would say, it's not what motivates me.
Okay.
So I was having a hard time feeling motivated. We opened in April 2010, and I remember I think it was in 2011, there's a lady that came in and said, she was buying a truck, and she says, this is the first time I've ever come to a car dealership without feeling like I have to bring my husband or my brother or a guy friend, because I've always, as females, and what I've learned over the years is that it's not just females, it's a lot of men too, just get completely ripped off in this industry. It's the reason why used car dealerships or used car salesmen have the reputation they do.
Isn't
right.
there, Bushra? Yeah.
Yeah. So I really, when I heard her say that, it was like a light bulb went off, and I saw a completely different vision.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it became, to me...
So what I read in the open wasn't necessarily your vision for starting OSI Autos? I mean, creating a safe space for women to come in and buy vehicles? That necessarily wasn't your...
It was right off the bat. In the very, very beginning, honestly, it was... I'm a business person, so it was an opportunity. I wanted to move back. I was living in Texas, and I wanted to move back to California.
Good decision.
Yeah, I don't want to offend anybody. Yeah,
right.
But I really wanted to move back, and I saw it as an opportunity to move back to go into this partnership. And it ended up taking on a whole life of its own. I like to use the word revolutionary.
Okay.
And we have been in many ways.
So how did you choose to focus this dealership on females who are buying vehicles, and not only that, diesel vehicles? We love niches here on Critical Mass Radio Show, and Butchery, you got a hell of a one here, right? This is quite an impressive niche. How did you determine that was the right place to put the business model?
Well, because of my business background, I right away, thanks to Texas. In Texas, diesel trucks are a big thing. They're very important to the lifestyle. I don't think people really realize how powerful they are, and how versatile they are, and how they help cultivate a family life. They help people, in their work life. It's such a great vehicle, and I fell in love with it in Texas. And what I realized is these I started studying the market a little bit, I realized that these trucks can, if they're taken care of, they can go up to like 1,000,000 miles, So you can buy these trucks. I have trucks that are 200,000-300,000 miles on them, and people are fighting each other over them. It's very easy to sell a truck with that much mileage, and I can't think of any other vehicle that you can do that.
Right.
So in the beginning, it was just the business model made sense to me, but that was just not enough for me.
Okay.
And then I started to realize, okay, well, I can really take this somewhere else, and that's exactly what I did. I started building a team. Most of our management, I would say 80% of my management team is all female. We're very much on the same page, very, very ethical, very transparent, which you don't. That's another thing you don't see in dealerships. We pull up costs, we show customers whatever they want to see. And we also have a service center.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, about 1.5 years ago, almost 2 years, I went from being just kind of a mom and pop 30-unit type place, and a location came up 2 blocks down that basically was like a super center, and it had everything. I mean, now we're working on having a paint, body and paint, audio, tint.
Look at you.
And full service center.
That's awesome.
And it was just a risk I had to take because it was a perfect opportunity, and a lot of practical people were telling me, no, don't do that. Just stay where you are. It's just being a female. I've realized a lot of men just kind of invite themselves, especially other dealership owners or whatever, just kind of invite themselves into my office and give me advice all the time. And a lot of the advice was like, no, don't do that. You don't. What are you thinking? That's crazy. That's so much overhead. And I took a risk, and I had a feeling that there was something more to it. And it's actually our clients are maybe 80% men. It's not that our clients are female. It's just that females feel very comfortable coming in because of but men, it's not. That's what I'm saying. Like, I've learned that it's not just females that feel duped by the used car dealership industry, and that's something that we have completely helped to. No, we have. I feel like we have helped change the industry. Some of our competition who think they're competition, but they're really not, because they just don't have the kind of people and philosophy and vision that we have. They're all about, making a dollar just like any other dealership. We're not that. We invest. When a client buys a truck from us, they become like family. They can drop by any time. We barbecue on the weekend, and they become like family.
So I have to ask you, Bushra, is it challenging to find and hire people in your industry and your sector of the auto industry that fit your culture and model?
Yes. Yes. But the good thing is my core management team, actually, it just by chance, they are family. I didn't hire them because they're family, but they just kind of fell into the different departments, and they run the different departments. We're very much on the same page as far as the vision, but hiring the others, the salespeople, and so it is hard because it's hard kind of helping them to move away from the traditional car dealership model and come to our way of doing things, which is we're not all about the profit margin. We're not all about, once you drive off the lot, that's it, sayonara.
Yeah,
we don't see you.
Yeah.
It's a completely different story. So that's kind of hard, kind of untraining.
Right.
Do you have to do it?
Yeah, we're going to take a short break here on Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast. And we say that because our engineer told us we need to break it. So thank you, Paul. When we come back, I'd like to talk about your Relief on Wheels program. Okay, so we're going to talk with Bushra after this short word from me.
If you are an Orange County business executive, this message is for you. Do you ever feel isolated with no place to turn for advice or feedback? Who holds you accountable to your commitments in your company? Where do you find the right resources to help you and your company grow? If you have these questions, then Critical Mass for Business might be the answer for you. Critical Mass for Business is committed to helping you make better decisions. These are groups of peers running businesses just like you, providing a great sounding board to test ideas and concepts, review plans and goals, and present issues and opportunities for discussion. The result is improved strategy, accountability, people, and execution skills. If you are interested in learning more, go to www.criticalmassforbusiness.com and learn more about our executive peer group.
Welcome back to this edition of Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast. A great way to stay informed about our guests is to sign up for our weekly newsletter. If you simply go to our website, criticalmass4business.com, at the bottom of any page is a Join Our Mailing List box. If you put in your email address, hit subscribe like magic, you'll start receiving our weekly newsletter with information about great guests like Bushra. We don't do anything else with your email. We just put you into the newsletter, and you can opt out of that at any time. I was going to talk about Relief on Wheels, and we will, Bushra, but before we do that, one of our listeners asked if we could just better define how you're different in the used car space beyond the fact that you're selling diesel vehicles, which I sense you have a very strong passion about that platform as more than just a reliable vehicle, which is awesome. That's really where your passion seems to come from. What's different about the buying experience, whether a male shopper or a female shopper comes into OSI Autos?
You know, it's completely different from A to Z. I remember reading one somewhere that Americans, the top 10 places they hate to go, car dealerships was number 2 after dentist. I can guarantee you that is not the case. We actually have the opposite problem. People don't want to leave, because it's a very comfortable atmosphere, very educational. You learn a lot, whether it's whoever, our master diesel tech or the director of finance or whoever. You learn a lot. You become part of the family. Everything is transparent, like I was telling you, which is unheard of in the car industry.
How do you make money when you're so transparent? Do you find your clientele are willing to allow you to make a profit on the sale of the used vehicle to them?
Yes, because I'm not looking to rip people off. And everyone knows that that's business. You have to make some sort of profit, but it's a reasonable one. And I much rather have that than we could easily make a bunch of money off of people all day, but I don't think we would be where we are if we had done that. We would be just like any other dealership, which is not really that exciting. But our dealership is very exciting, and it's the word of mouth. It's the one happy customer that turns into 100 happy customers.
So are people buying vehicles for their business? Are they buying vehicles for their home and recreation? What is it?
All kinds.
Okay.
A lot of people, we're kind of well known on Camp Pendleton. We have a lot of military because they just like driving those trucks. They feel comfortable driving. They like, doing the recreational things that you can do with them too, besides just driving. They're a good, and that's another thing I make sure that my staff understands, that these are an investment. It's not like buying, a car that takes you from point A to point B. These are, a lot of people have been saving for years or, whatever, and we are not to rip those people off because that is their hard-earned money, and
Right.
Diesel trucks are more expensive than, a gas truck, but they're very well worth it because of the power, durability, longevity, like I was saying.
Right.
So it's just completely different. I don't know if I can.
How do you find vehicles? Do you go to the auctions and buy them?
I have a couple of buyers who have been with us for years. They go to auctions. We take trades. Sometimes I'll look for them online to see if there's any good deals. Things like that. And since we have our own service center, we service them fully before they hit the road. Like, we don't just do the safety inspection. Of course, we do that, and we go the extra mile. We do a lot of things that I'll give you an example. We had a guy, and this happens actually a lot. We had a guy who left with his truck. He bought a truck. He left, and something happened that night. It was something very minor, but his truck broke down. You know, obviously we don't have a crystal ball. We do everything we can. And he called us at about 1 a.m. He called my service manager, and we had someone go pick him up.
Wow.
And there is nothing in the state of California that tells you you have to do this by law. Nothing. We do those kind of things because we want to.
Customer service.
Yeah, our customer service is number one priority to me. Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
And you mentioned in the break, I hope you don't mind me restating it here on air, that your management team is completely female?
Yes. 80% of
Okay, 80%.
us.
I misheard. So that's a different dynamic, I would think,
Yes.
as well in the
Yes.
auto industry and a used car space. So
Yeah.
you're very differentiated business, and I love it when you have a very clear niche, which you clearly do. I said we were going to talk about Relief on Wheels. We have about 4 minutes left here on the show. Can you give me a sense for what that program is? Tell our audience.
Yeah. Actually, I've been doing this since the beginning. I just never had a name for it, and I didn't advertise it. Just donating a vehicle whenever I was able to someone who is in need. I just never put it out there until we got bigger, and the people were telling me, "Are you crazy? I mean, this is something that needs to be advertised. This is something you need to push out there." So we made the name Relief on Wheels. I just don't feel comfortable, making people feel like they're a charity case. Here, let's take a picture of you, that whole thing. But that came from, I grew up with a single mom who was ripped off a lot by car people, and when I was 16, I was working already, and I didn't have a car, and I was taking a city bus in downtown LA, and it was very difficult circumstance. I would look down from the window, in those buses, just look down to those cars and just be, wishing that I was in one of them because it would just be so much more comfortable.
Sure.
And it just dawned on me maybe in a divine way, that here I am. I own a car dealership now, and I'm going to give back in every way that I can.
Wow.
And
I imagine that. I can only imagine the difference that makes in people's lives.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And that's everything for us.
Right.
And like I said, my asset is that I have a team with the exact same vision. We're all on the same page.
Right.
I'm the CEO. I'm 100% owner, but really, they're owners too, maybe not on paper, but they treat the place like they're owners. They're in it for the long run, and we all have that same vision of helping people, making sure people are taken care of, and just defying the stereotype in every way.
As you're sharing your life story, we're peeling back, and I'm getting more of the reason why you're doing this. I kind of asked you at the open how you picked this, but hearing the most recent story about you and the bus in L.A., and your mother and the issues, I mean, it all comes together now as an entrepreneur. Now I'm getting to a deeper sense for who you are and why you're doing what you're doing, which is really awesome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here sharing your story with us. If someone in our listening audience would like to learn more about OSI Autos, can they find you online?
Oh, yeah.
What would that be?
We're OSIAutos.net, not .com, and it's with an S, plural. We're on Facebook. We post a lot on Facebook and Instagram. OSI Autos, everywhere. Just OSI Autos. You should be able to find us. And our website is really awesome. You can see a bunch of our inventory. A lot of the guys that who are really into this, they call it a diesel Disneyland. That's what it feels like. That's what it looks like. So.
And if someone wanted to see your physical property, where are you located?
We're at 1415 North Harbor Boulevard.
1415 North
in
Harbor
Santa
Boulevard.
Ana.
That's centered all of Orange County, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
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 Well, thank you for being a friend of the program, and welcome
you.
to the Critical Mass community.
Thank you.
It's been such a great story hearing your story. I'm very inspired by it, and I wish you nothing but continued success, Bushra.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I'm going to also thank our engineer for today, none other than Mr. Paul Roberts, and the work that he does behind the board there to keep us streaming live on octalkradio.net, as well as our three producers, without which we wouldn't be able to do a show: Joan Park, Crystal Nunley, Haley Stern. Thank you very much, ladies. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, I think the best place to start is my LinkedIn account. It's Richard Franzi, Richard Franzi. From there, you can find my Twitter handle and our website, which is Critical Mass for Business. Would just love to connect with you on LinkedIn and start a conversation. And until our next show here on OCTalkRadio.net, I hope all of your business decisions will move your company in a positive direction.
You have been listening to Critical Mass Radio Show Business Talk Show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.